and welcome once again to Movies That Pop. I'm the Kernel. Now, just a reminder before we get started, if you like this video, you can see a whole lot more by clicking the icon down there and clicking subscribe when you get to our channel. We always appreciate when you hit that thumbs up icon below, leave your spoiler-free comments to continue the conversation, and of course, follow me on Twitter at Movies That Pop. Now, without further ado, let's see what popped up in theaters this week. Oh my goodness, Steven Spielberg is back, people! Now I know what you're gonna say. Kernel, he never went anywhere. He's been making one, sometimes even two movies a year for about the last several decades, and the quality has never really flagged. His last film, The Post, was even up for a Best Picture Oscar less than a month ago, so what are you talking about, Willis? Well, here's what I'm talking about. With Ready Player One, a dizzying adaptation of one of the geekiest books ever written, we're getting quintessential Spielberg. Classic Spielberg. The man has been jumping around genres for the past few years, from historical dramas, children's fantasy, animation, and I even hear his next film will be a musical, a remake of West Side Story, and he almost always knocks it out of the park. Now, Ready Player One, however, is a big, bold, imaginative, and heartwarming adventure reminiscent of the movies that made Spielberg a household name. I'm talking E.T., Hook, Jurassic Park, Minority Report, Close Encounters. Yes, Ready Player One is Spielberg creating that old Spielberg feeling and using the most modern and state-of-the-art techniques to do it. To call Ready Player One a throwback is a massive understatement. It's more than an homage, it is a pop culture fantasia of references, tributes, in-jokes, and, well, Easter eggs that not only reward repeat viewings, they more or less demand it. Hidden references to everything from King Kong to Krull to the 60s Batmobile to Chucky to Serenity to just about every film released in the 1980s fly at you so fast and at such a relentless pace that I must admit I found myself nearly exhausted by the end of the first big action sequence, constantly scanning the frame to catch all of the little details and references until I finally just gave up and paid attention to, the story. So, what is the story of Ready Player One? Well, it can best be described as sort of a high-tech Willy Wonka, where in the near future, there is this virtual internet of sorts called the Oasis that just about everyone on the planet uses for commerce, for gaming, or simply for escape from the real world, that suddenly becomes the ultimate MacGuffin when its eccentric and reclusive creator, James Halliday, dies. Halliday leaves behind a virtual Easter egg hunt wherein anyone who completes his challenges and retrieves a golden Easter egg that he has hidden somewhere deep within the Oasis will own the Oasis and thereby have control over its future. Our hero, Wade Watts, your typical hard-scrabble youth with a heart of gold, ventures into the Oasis to find the egg first, competing with basically the entire civilized world, including a particularly ruthless company who will stop at nothing, including and up to murder, to own and monetize the most powerful piece of technology in the world. Hey, you got all that? Because there is a lot going on here, even when distilled from the more densely detailed novel by the author himself, working alongside screenwriter Zach Penn, and brought to life by one of the most talented filmmakers of all time, it can still be a little overwhelming. Coupled with the avalanche of pop culture references, it was downright exhausting for the first 45 minutes or so of the film's 2-hour and 20-minute running time. But, and this is a big but, there was a moment where the switch was flipped for me. And I can't say exactly when it was, but it was well before our characters actually, believably, jumped into a classic 1980s movie, the title of which I will not spoil for you, and I just squealed like a little kid on Christmas morning. Somewhere before that sequence, the switch was flipped from exhausting to exhilarating, and there was simply no turning back from there. Ready Player One captures that sense of wonder, the sense of imagination, that Amblin feeling, for lack of a better term. It reminds you of what you loved about those early Spielberg films, and just in general reminds you of a whole lot more besides. But it also tells a story of teenage love, of scrappy underdogs fighting the system, class warfare, and the importance of one's legacy. If it all ends up feeling like a bit too much for one movie, if it feels like some of the plot lines or characters get a little short shrift by virtue of the massive scope and ambition of the story, then you know what? I'm fine with that, because you've got lovable heroes, hateable villains, thrills, chases, escapes, and a truly heartwarming Spielbergian ending that winkingly wraps everything up in a neat little bow. They really don't make them like this anymore. This is a futuristic movie that is insanely reverent of the past, and as reverent as it is of that past, as liberally as it borrows from its influences, while simultaneously wearing those influences on its sleeve, Ready Player One feels like a bold step forward for the world's most popular filmmaker, and its action climax feels like the result of a much younger maverick filmmaker playing with the ultimate literal and figurative toy box. I award Ready Player One an extra large bag of popcorn.